Good morning everyone. Today we are going to see software testing, unit 3, session 4. In the previous session, we have studied the concept regression testing, which is conducted when you are going to make changes to the existing functionalities or any coding which is already compiled, debugged and tested. In today's session, we are going to study the topic testing of object-oriented systems. So most of the systems are developed using object-oriented programming languages, where everything is treated as objects. So to conduct such type of systems testing, you need to first understand what is an object. An object consists of its properties and behavior. That is very important to understand. Now suppose, let us understand what is an object first. Everything in this world, real world, is treated as an object, whether it is any things, persons or animals like chair, fans, table, a person or any animal. Everything is treated as an object, and every object has its different properties and behaviors. For example, take an object pen. So what are the properties or the states of an object pen is like color of the pen, name of the pen, what type of pen it is, and who is the manufacturer of the pen. These all is the properties of a pen. And what can be the behavior of a pen? We use pen for writing. So behavior of the pen is writing. Similarly, take another example like the object flower. So what is the properties of the object flower? It is which type of flower it is, color of the flower, how many number of petals are there, and so on. So what can be the behavior of the flower? So behavior of the flower is it is going to bloom and it is going to smell. Similarly, take another example, the object chair. So what is the properties of the chair? Like what type of chair it is, what is the color, how many number of hands are there for that chairs, and so on. And what is the behavior of the chair? We use chair for the sitting. So like this way, it is very necessary to understand the object, its properties and behavior. So it becomes easy for you to test using various input values to test those objects. And objects and classes are very important components of object-oriented systems. So what is an object? An object is an instance of a class. An object in OOPS is nothing but a self-contained component which consists of methods and properties to make a particular type of data useful. So this is the definition of object, which consists of methods and properties. Methods means behavior. Another definition, objects have properties and behaviors. For example, a dog has states. So what are the properties of a dog? Like color of the dog, name of the dog, breed of the dog. And what can be the behavior of the dog? Like wagging the tail, barking and eating. So there are so many properties of a dog, but which is needed for your application, only that behavior you are going to take. Not all you are going to include in your applications. Whichever is necessary, only those behavior and properties you are going to include in your applications. And another way, and one more is, when you consider a system, the objects has to communicate with each other. So system is a collection of objects and those objects has to communicate with each other. So one object has to pass the message to another object. So exchange of messages between the objects has to be done. For example, take another example, car. So car properties are, what is the color of the car, okay, and who is the manufacturer of car, model of the car, and what is the name of the car, price of the car. And what is the behavior of the car? Behavior of the car is moving from one place to another place. So and wheels are also properties of the car. So when the wheel is an object and car is also an object. So to move the car from one place to another place, the wheel object has to communicate with the car object and also has to communicate with the engine object. So when these all objects communicate with each other, then only the application runs. Then only the car moves from one place to another place. So the message passing is very important between the objects. So that to test that whether the message are passing properly or no from one object to another object, that has to be tested in object oriented systems. What is a class? Let us understand. A class can be defined as a template or blueprint that describes the behavior or state that object of its type support. A class in Java or C++ determines how an object will behave and what the object will contain. So an object consists of properties and behavior. So this together combined is called a class. So class determines how an object will behave and what the object will contain. So what the class does, what type of object it is and how it is going to behave, that will be determined by the class. See, this is a class. A class is nothing but a collection of methods and properties. Which is together combined into this class. So there are many classes in a system. So class is a combination or combined methods and properties together into a single unit is called as class. And they communicate with each other. To make the application run, has to communicate. Now you'll understand the difference between the class and objects with an example. See now, what is the class name? Dogs. So our class name is dog. So what are the data members of this? Or we also called as properties. That is size, age, color and breed of a dog. So these properties we need to form the class dogs. And what is the methods? That is behavior of the dog. So the behavior of the dog is eating, sleep, sit, run. So there are actually many properties, but which is needed for your application, only that you are going to take. See this? So our class name is dog and these are the data members, that is properties, and these are the methods which we are going to use: eat, sleep, sit and run. So these data members and methods we are going to use in our application. So these data members, methods has to be tested. See now, this is a class. So combined data members and methods is a class. So this is a class. Now what are the objects? See, every class can have many objects. Every class can have many objects. See now, this is one object, this is second object and this is third object. So these are various types of objects and every object has its different properties and behavior. So this type of object can have different properties, like see breed is there and you can have different name here, size different, age different and color is there. Now this is another type of object and its details are different. You can see this is another type of object and its details are different. And these all objects belongs to the class dog. So these all objects belongs to the class dog because these objects falls into the category of dogs only. But something there, properties and the details are going to be different. So when we write in the coding, we write in this form, like we create the class, okay, which class, and then we mention it. These are the data members which we mention: breed, size, age and color. And then we declare the methods which we are going to use. So method is that we just want to display the information about the various objects. So there are so many objects we have seen there, 3 objects we have seen, and different information we are going to display it on the screen. So one method we have written here. So as I told you, to communicate with these objects, to communicate with these data members and actions, you need to create the objects. So using the main function, you are going to create this. See, dog G. So this is our object now. G is the object. Now using this object, you are going to display the information. Means you are accepting here the information and that you are going to display it on the screen. So same code will execute for different types of objects. For different types of breed, the same information will get executed and it will display on the screen. So for different type of object, no need to write the same coding again and again. So based on the what type of object and input, that time it will execute this. Now for object oriented systems, we have different features. So object oriented programming is very popular because of its features. So even that you need to test. So some of the popular features we'll see. So object oriented systems are mostly used by the people because it is very easier and also it has various features which are very popular. So these are the inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic integration. Then it is also famous due to its modularity, quicker development, small methods, reuse and interfaces and so on, and encapsulation. So first we understand what is the encapsulation feature of object oriented system. So encapsulation features is nothing but to hide the information from the outside world. So whoever is needed that information, only that method or only that function can access that information. So the authority is given, the permission is given for specific methods or the specific variables, data members to access that particular information. So only those objects, methods and variables can access that information. And from remaining outside world, it is hidden. Encapsulation may refer to a mechanism of restricting the direct access to some components of an object, such that users cannot access state values for all of the variables of a particular object. So for which type of values the access is given, only that they can access. Encapsulation can be used to hide both data members and data functions or methods associated with an instantiated class or object. So this is way how to declare the encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but these our variables, and this we call as constructor. Later we'll understand what is the constructor. And these are the various methods. So these variables, length and breadth, these variables are only accessed by the methods like float area and float perimeter. Area and perimeter, only these methods can access this directly. And all other methods cannot access it, or any other class cannot access it because the permission is not given. So only these methods the permission is given because those are combined in a class. Next popular feature is inheritance. So inheritance is a mechanism that allows one class to gain the properties of another class. So due to the encapsulation feature, not all classes or not all objects or other files, they cannot access all the information of a particular class. So if any of the class wants to access the information from another class, or if they want to share the information, or if they want to communicate, then they can use the inheritance concept where one class will be derived from another class, and the derived class has the authority to access the properties of that existing class. So a strength of object-oriented system lies in its ability to define a new classes from existing classes with some of the properties of the new class being similar to the existing class and some of the properties being different. Like for example, the parent and child. Okay, the child inherits the common properties from the parent. So the child has the common properties which is taken from parent, and the child has its own properties within him. So some of the properties which are matching to the parents and some of his own properties are there in the child class. Another example is that, now suppose the car which is already implemented. Now suppose the Ferrari car is already developed, implemented, and already the class is available, Ferrari class is available. Now after 10 years you decide to develop another new car, like example Swift. Then you, instead of, now this Swift falls in the category of Ferrari car only. So again, instead of developing the same categories and all, okay, some of the properties will be inherited from the class Ferrari, which is already debugged, tested and implemented, and some new features will be added into that car Swift. So like this way, the class which is already existing, which is already present, from that you are going to implement, inherit some of the features, and some own additional extra features will be added in that class, and a new class will be created. So this will save the time and efforts, and no need to write the same code again and again. So reuse of code is used with the help of this inheritance. So there are again various types of inheritance in this: single inheritance, multiple inheritance and many. So there are various ways to inherit the classes. Base class is the class which is already existing. Subclass is a new class. This is existing class and this is new class. Same way you can also inherit some of the properties combinedly from two classes. So from more than one class you can also inherit the properties in a new class. Similarly, you can also derive the properties from base class and also from again that derived class. Testing object-oriented system broadly covers the following topics. So testing object-oriented systems, like in which part of the system you need to focus. Unit testing class. Okay, now in object-oriented system, unit testing is very important. So some of the units of the class you are going to take and you are going to test it. Putting classes to work together, again you are also going to apply integration testing. How you are going to do the integration testing? All classes you are going to combine and then you are going to perform integration testing. So to check out whether all classes are communicating with each other or no, whether they are passing their messages or no from one class to another class. So that is integration testing. And then whole system, whole classes and objects you are going to combine and you are going to apply the system testing. And then if you have missed out some functionalities and something, then you are going to apply regression testing. And then you can also use the techniques, various techniques to test the object-oriented system, that is using various tools. Later part we are going to study that. So another popular feature of this object-oriented program is polymorphism. So polymorphism is the ability of any data to be processed in more than one form. The word itself indicates the meaning, as poly means many and morphism means types. So for example, let us understand this with help of an example. So there is a diagram, that means draw function. There is a shape diagram, okay, and shape can be of different shapes, like there is a triangle shape, there is a rectangle shape and circle, and there is a function called, or there is a method called draw. So whenever this draw function is going to behave differently, so if the input is given in a triangular input is given here, then that function is going to behave like a triangle, means it is going to draw the triangle. Now if the input is given like a rectangle, then it is going to draw a rectangle. If the input is given like a circle, then it is going to draw a circle. So this draw function is going to behave based on the input. So what type of input it is supplied is going to behave in such a way. So let us understand this with help of an example, like a person at the same time can have different roles to play in life. Like take the example of woman. A woman at the same time is a mother, a wife, an employee and a daughter. So the same person has to have many features, but has to implement each as per the situation and the condition. Okay. If for a woman, like a woman is a function, and if you supply the input like a mother, then that woman function is going to behave like a mother. If you give the input like a employee, then that woman function is going to behave like a employee. If you give the input like a daughter, then the woman is going to behave like a daughter. So like this way the polymorphism works. So in today's topic we'll see only this much, and the remaining object oriented features and how to do the testing of objects and classes we'll see in the next session. Thank you.